Look at that. Off-grid living. What a can of worms to open up and jump into. So today I want to talk about the realism versus the romantic end of it, and you know, so a lot of that YouTube content out there is like, I'm not quite sure that it's really portrays what off-grid living is all about, right? So it's rough, it's tough, it's a lot of work, right? I mean, the romantic side of it is it can help with seeing you through some of that stuff, but here's so the romantic. Well, let's first just let's just like define off-grid, right? So if you're off, you're not connected to the electrical power grid, you are technically off-grid. And boy, there's some of that YouTube content out there that's like, man, I say, yeah, technically they're off-grid, but that's not my reality anyway. So, oh God, yeah. Well, we'll get into that in just a little bit. So, you know, that like the romantic end of this thing is, well, it's just like you're self-reliant and you're living off the land or next to the land. You're living next to nature. Living off of what you're growing or livestock that you're raising, and a lot of this stuff is like, okay, from my experiences, is like Alaska specific, right? Because I've lived off grid down in the lesser 48, and it's a totally different animal up here. Totally different animal. It's like, but Alaska lends itself really well to off-grid living because there's a lot of natural resources and the government doesn't mess with you at all, right? And like there's no building permits or you know, the governmental steps you got to do down south to actually build something, right? And but you're a lot of times you're on your own, right? And a lot of times well, like you're just struggling just to survive. So the romantic end, right? Self-reliant. You're working to be self-reliant. And there's of course the freedom that comes with living off grid, and the freedom from all the rat race that's that's the 21st century, you know, modern society. There's that, but there's trade-offs, right? So one, of course, is hard work. Yeah, it's just you got to be ready for some seriously hard work, and but there's the other trade-offs are when you're, especially like in the winter up here, you are tied down, especially if you have livestock, right? You are tied. This is a full-time job, right? Just water and wood, those two alone, right? They're going to take up a whole lot of your time, and I'm going to do a series of videos on like the five things that you really kind of consider when you're thinking about going off grid or off grid, right? And so there's you know, water and wood, waste, which is both human and other, and washing. And washing is not just, we're not talking about just your body, right? You're talking about washing clothes, and even like washing dishes is a when you're packing water in the wintertime, and it's really kind of hard to come by. So and it's a lot of work, and so even washing dishes is you've got to kind of figure out the way to do it with the most minimal amount of water and still be, you know, somewhat sanitary. You gotta change your perception of what comfortable is, right? So you've got to really be comfortable with being uncomfortable. I think that's probably the best advice that I could give, right? It's tough sometimes. It really is. So I've lived in the Palace, which is like a 6x10 sheepherder's wagon, for the better part of 6 years. 4 of them have been up here, and let me tell you what, it gets cold up here. And when the Matanuska wind is howling at 100 plus gusts, oh man, it's a challenge. And there's like several weeks of winter. I wake up and the stove has gone out, and I have thermal mass in here too, but it helps. But on the floor, it's everything freezes. My dog's water dish is frozen solid. Even the beer I keep inside to keep it from freezing, freezes. It's like, damn. So there's challenges, right? And so yeah, that's like you're trading freedom from society, but you're going to be tied. You're going to be tied down to your place, right? And like I said, it's a bloody full-time job, and you got to be ready. You got to be ready for setbacks too. Like so. So my dream was to build a 12 by 16 log cabin, and I milled the logs, and spent one winter milling logs at a neighbor's place. You had a mill about a half mile away. So I spent one winter doing that. I started getting ready to go, and then COVID hit, and then boy, everything up here went just absolutely bananas expense-wise. It was just like $75 for a sheet of plywood. Now I can't afford that, right? And it's like even OSB was like $65, and then it didn't get a whole lot better. The supply is a real issue up here sometimes too. It's partially done, but there it sits, and I was like, here we go, once more into the Palace. Oh well, it could be worse. All right, I live in a very, very, very beautiful spot, man. It's hard to beat this place when it's nice. When it's miserable, it is miserable. So there's that. So I kind of think that there's like 4 levels of off-grid living. One is the Disneyland version, which is a lot to see on the YouTube, where oh god, they got solar arrays and wind powers and enough, and generating enough electricity to power a small town, and oh god, they get septic systems and wells, and God almighty, they even got like flush toilets. It's like that would be something. And I guess that's something to kind of aspire to, maybe. I don't know, but it's not going to happen in this cowboy's life. I can't see that one coming around. And then there's like the regular homesteaders. Just go out and buy a piece of land that they're going to build, and hopefully make a go of having a little farm or whatever, and raising livestock, and having a garden, and you're building with basically hand tools, and a chainsaw, and you're just making your way, right? Most of the time you have an outhouse. You're hauling water. You may have a generator, right, to power your tools and stuff like that, and eventually get a little bit of maybe solar or something, to help out with all that. And then there's kind of where I think I am, like, and I call that like mostly feral. Oh, it's like, and of course you're always in the homesteader part of it, you're heating with wood and you're cooking with wood, just like you would in like mostly. Oh, don't burn that up, Mimi. There you go. Feral and I mean totally feral and mostly feral. You're heating and cooking almost solely with wood, right? So a lot of folks in the homestead, in the homestead version, they have like Toyo stoves and or some propane heaters and things like that. Well, mostly feral and totally feral. That's not it. But so I'm mostly feral. I still have. I'm on the edge of cell service, so I've got that, and the road I live off of gets plowed sometimes. So I can get to town. Sometimes, but sometimes I can't. Right? Sometimes it's like weeks and weeks before I can get anywhere. Totally feral, right? And I've lived that life a fair bit too, down south. And you're heating totally with wood, and you've got candles. You're lighting with candles or kerosene lamps, and there's no amenities at all, right? So there's all those. So I'm gonna do a series of videos, like I said, on those on wood, water, waste. What was the other one? Electricity and wood, water, waste, washing. Yeah, no, washing. That's an issue, right? So you got to be ready to you go without weeks, without a shower, or or bathing and things like that, and you're using like baby wipes. That's your bathing sometimes for weeks at a time. So so I'm gonna do those. I'll do those videos here over next month or so, and so stay posted and subscribe, and thanks for watching, mate. Cheers.